Prepare for your big Instagram blow up. I'm actually not kidding because they rolled out an update we've all been waiting for. However, and there comes the however, there's a few things that you should know and mostly implement to actually get recommended. And I actually mean it. There's massive growth potentials for regular content, regular feed posts that's not just reels. And it's really great. Might actually save this hole. You probably noticed it, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it, you'll get it soon. But if you scroll through your regular feed right now, you'll find posts that are surprisingly fitting for your taste, but from people you're not following yet. And the power of that is beyond what we can imagine. We can probably imagine it, but you know. However, and here's the however, my friends. Starting this off, you first gotta make sure you've got a few settings enabled to even potentially get included. If you don't have these, you won't get included, and then you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be all like,
Dominic, come on, it doesn't work.
But here's the thing. First of all, and I know this should be a given, but I know there's lots of people who are just starting out. But if you have a private profile out there, question, what does it mean? What do you think this actually means in terms of your profile getting recommended?
Is that my profile won't be included in the suggestion?
Yes, right, Petele. So yeah, make sure if your profile is private, make sure it's not private. By the way, in general, if you want to appear in the explore page and stuff like this, but I shouldn't say this. And there's another thing that you have to take care of. Go to your desktop Instagram profile. Go to your settings in there, your profile settings. And I think it's only on the desktop browser, but basically enable this tick right there, the similar account suggestions box. And just leave it enabled. Most of the times it's enabled, sometimes it's not. So make sure this is enabled. We're not 100% sure if this actually applies to your posts being suggested, but just to be sure, just to be safe, because safety is the most important thing. Now, how can you actually get recommended? Because that's obviously what you all want. I did some digging and they actually have a help article talking about this. And basically it's the obvious, especially if you watch this channel. Number one, you need to subscribe here on this channel because we want to get 100K. But yeah, all jokes aside, they mostly suggest posts based on your activity. They look at who you follow, but mostly also who you interact with. You know, likes, saves, and comments, what they specify. Then they try to determine what these posts actually have in common. And this is what I'm sure they took over from the Reels algorithm. They not only look at, you know, common interests and activity the audience has all in common, but also the content itself using, you know, various detection algorithms. You know, we've talked about that. And out of all these posts, they obviously recommend you the ones that are already performing quite well to keep you on the platform, to keep you satisfied. And they basically say they look at how popular the post might be, how others are actually interacting with this content and so forth. Now, another very interesting thing is the last thing right there is information about the account. They say they look at how many times people have interacted with that account in the past few weeks. And this is sort of important because it means that if you don't regularly post, if you don't regularly appear on the platform to create content, to provide your followers with a good time on the platform, and people don't interact with you, or people don't interact with you the way they should based on your audience size and stuff like this, talking about ghost followers, dead followers, you know, having a dead account and stuff like this, or just having content there's nobody interested in, which is usually the most common issue people have, but you just don't want to believe me. But if you have all of that or one of these things, they're most likely not going to show you in this suggested profile thing. So based on all of the information that we just talked about, what is actually important to get recommended? First of all, your niche. You know, we don't really know if the recommendations are based on an account level, meaning your niche in general, or the content level, meaning they recommend, even though it's a different sort of niche, they still recognize it within this very post and then they push it out. We don't know, but taking a look at other older publications of the Instagram algorithm that the Facebook team, for example, pushed out, they're probably more leaning towards the account as a whole being more important, meaning a clearly defined niche is the most important thing of guiding your account, be featured in those suggested posts. However, we don't 100% know that, and especially looking at the latest Reels developments, I guess it's sort of a healthy mix between these two, your account level and the content that's in there. Obviously, once we know more, keep coming back. I'll tell you once I know for sure. Now, which content actually gets recommended? It seems like the recommendations are all over the place, meaning it just doesn't matter whether it's a carousel post or just a regular post or a video. I've even seen Reels that were posted sort of in the feed, getting suggested in this feed tab. So if you think about it, Dominators, slowly but surely everything we've been talking about in the past year comes sort of full circle and starts to suddenly make sense, huh? You know, audience development being key, niching down the right way being key, trying to make content that your audience actually enjoys. Maybe if you've been doing that up until this point from the start when I started telling you you should do that, maybe you get recommended right now like on Pornhub. Anyway, it also seems that these suggestions are roughly every 6th to 8th post or something like this. If you remember, you know, every 4th or 5th post used to be an ad, you know, a real ad from Instagram, which means right now, and this is another important thing that we can gather from this whole update, there's even less real estate for your own sponsored content now. So, you know, it's happening. It's sort of getting hard for those traditional influencers with those salesy posts, with those ad posts, sponsored posts, who think that just having a bit of Instagram reach and some gullible sponsors will be a viable option for the future. Because I'm pretty sure content that could just be seen as sponsored or something like this by the algorithm won't get recommended by this new powerhouse of assistant. And talking about that, if you want to dig even deeper into which content gets recommended and which absolutely doesn't, because there's a lot of content that just doesn't get recommended, here's a video where I'll actually talk about this very in depth. You should watch it right now.